Hey everyone, it's your buddy back again with another exciting fanfic. What if Naruto revealed his true power? Part 4. If you enjoy this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and comment for more fanfics like this. Now, let's dive right into the fanfic. I don't know, I just have this feeling that something isn't right about them, especially Naruto. Didn't you notice that during the first exam, Naruto just sat still for the entire time? He didn't look even the slightest bit nervous, even though he was the dead last at the academy. Yeah, I did notice that. Something is up with him, Sasuke and Sakura, and I want to know what. Alright, we'll look for Team 7, if we're wrong then at the least we'll have a chance to snatch their scroll. Ino and Choji nodded in agreement with the genius and the three changed direction in search of the enigma that was Team 7. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura were jumping through the dense foliage of the forest, moving faster than the average genin team should be able to. It was an hour after the exam had begun and so far the only enemies they had come across was a lone aim nin who tried to capture Naruto and infiltrate the team. That had failed spectacularly thanks to Naruto sensing the ninja before he even had a chance to prepare. Guys, there's a clearing up ahead, we'll stop and plan our next move there, said Naruto as he jumped down into the clearing, his teammates close behind. This should be far enough. Sakura, go ahead and drop the genjutsu, the nearest person is over 100 yards away. Nodding in acknowledgement, Sakura formed the ram seal and disrupted her chakra flow, Kai. The air around the team shimmered slightly as the cloaking genjutsu faded, revealing Team 7 for whom they really were. Naruto was wearing the same outfit he had when he removed his mask of an idiot, but Sasuke and Sakura's clothes of choice had changed during their week of training. Sasuke had replaced the traditional Uchiha clan clothing for a black, one-piece version of the clothing, with the Uchiha crest emblazoned across the back. His left hand was wrapped in bandages with numerous dark blue arm belts adorning it. He also had similar belts wrapped around both of his legs. Sakura now wore a modified version of her usual kippou dress. She had on a red top with a white circle design on the back, along with black, skin-tight shorts. She had a gray skirt over the shorts with shin-high boots with a slight heel replacing the standard blue shinobi sandals. A pair of elbow-length black gloves with the symbol of the medical corps on them covered her hands. She had followed in Naruto's footsteps and replaced her usual blue headband cloth with a red one that complemented her hair. Before the three genin had a chance to plan, Naruto's eyes widened as he sensed a massive chakra signature heading for them, fast. We're about to have company. But there is no way this guy is a genin, he has as much chakra as the Hokage. Sasuke and Sakura stiffened at this. If someone with that kind of power was looking for them, then they were in trouble. What the hell is someone like that doing these exams? Shouldn't someone have noticed them before now? Asked Sasuke as he activated his Sharingan and saw the dark, ominous chakra the person moving towards them had. Whoever they are, their chakra isn't normal, it feels almost evil, finished Naruto. There is only person I know of that could have that kind of chakra and if he's in the village, we have to warn the Hokage somehow. We need to try and buy ourselves some time. Let's make some clones and see if we can learn anything about this guy. Forming his signature cross-hand seal, a single shadow clone appeared next to him. Sasuke and Sakura were quick to follow his lead, though they each made a Raiden shadow clone and a Doden shadow clone respectively. The clones transformed so that they looked like the three had before dispelling the genjutsu while the originals hid in the trees at a safe distance to observe their new enemy. A few seconds passed before a powerful blast of wind passed through the clearing. The two elemental clones managed to hold their ground from the attack, but Naruto's clone was swept away by the wind, dispelling once it collided with a tree. Damn, not good. That was a high-powered Fuden technique. If he can use jutsu of that caliber we'll have a serious fight on our hands, Sasuke said as he observed the damage caused with his Sharingan. He's here, whispered Naruto as a figure slowly began to rise out of the ground. It was an older-looking Kusa-nin wearing a straw hat, but that was the only normal thing about him. He was emitting large amounts of killing intent that had the two clones shaking in fear. We can't take this guy head-on. Our only hope is the element of surprise. Sakura, disrupt his footing in Sasuke and I will attack while he's off balance. Got it, said Sakura as she jumped down to the ground as silently as possible while forming hand seals. Doden. Tearing earth turning palm, when her hands touched the ground, the earth around the Kusa shinobi began to break and spiral in on itself. Not expecting such a response from a team of genin, the disguised Orochimaru was forced to jump towards one of the trees to avoid being crushed. Unfortunately for him, the branch he was about to land on exploded, launching him through the air towards a waiting Sasuke. What the? Thought the man as he looked over his shoulder at the last Uchiha, it seems that they are more skilled than I gave them credit for. Sasuke took out 2 handfuls of shuriken and threw them in a wide arc at the airborne shinobi. The lethal stars crossed paths in front of the long-haired shinobi and only then did he realize that they were being guided by wires. Pulling on the wires, Sasuke manipulated them so that they completely ensnared his enemy, preventing him from escaping. Clenching the wires in his teeth, the dark-haired genin sped through a series of hand seals, ending in the tiger seal. Kaden. Dragon Fire Jutsu. Fire erupted from Sasuke's mouth and traveled along the wire towards the bound shinobi. Impressive Sasuke-kun, but still rather predictable, the trapped man's thoughts halted as he saw Naruto appear next to Sasuke, already finishing his own set of seals. Fuden stream. Naruto exhaled a concentrated blast of wind from his mouth that easily caught up to the flames and more than tripled their speed and intensity. The two boys waited in anticipation as the flames consumed their target. They knew that it wouldn't be that easy to defeat someone with so much power, and so were already preparing for the counter they knew was coming. A massive spike of chakra emanated from the flames, dispersing them and revealing the charred body of the Kusa ninja. The man began chuckling as his body seemed to just slither out of the wire binding him. In a blur of speed that even Sasuke's Sharingan couldn't follow, the man appeared across from the two boys on the branch. Whirling around to face their opponent, Naruto and Sasuke saw that part of the man's face seemed to have simply melted off, revealing pale white skin with a yellow snake-like eye. Kukuku, I must admit, you caught me by surprise with your level of skill, but now I believe it is time for me to see what you are really capable of. Come Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun, entertain me, he said, his voice becoming an excited cackle at the end. The two boys shivered at the man's insane tone but knew they didn't have much of a choice. They each fell into their respective taijutsu stances and charged the man, Sasuke going for a low sweep while Naruto spun to deliver a roundhouse kick to the man's head. All the while, the partially revealed Orochimaru merely smirked, not bothering with defending himself. However, just before the two kicks were about to connect, his hands blurred and he let loose a strong wind that blew the two genin off of the branch they were standing on. Smirking to himself, Orochimaru walked towards where the two had fallen. Only to receive a chakra-enhanced punch to the face from Sakura. This strength, it's almost comparable to Tsunade's when she first began developing her super strength. Thought the rogue Sannin as he got up from where he had landed, only to see that the genin had regrouped. That girl, she has more potential than Tsunade did at her age, but even more worrisome is their teamwork. If this is what they are capable of now, then given the proper training, these three could easily surpass we of the Sannin. Kukuku, I knew Sasuke-kun would entertain me, but I never imagined all three of them would provide me with such a challenge. Well, I must say that was quite unexpected, but now it is time for me to take what I came for. The three genin's eyes widened as the man blurred towards them, kicking Sakura away before she had a chance to react. Sasuke attempted to strike the man with a kick to the head, but he blocked it with ease. Grabbing a hold of the leg, Orochimaru threw the last Uchiha into another tree and watched as he collapsed on one of the branches. Naruto jumped away from the man and weaved hand seals as fast as he could. Orochimaru wasn't about to let him have the chance to attack and extended his tongue to wrap around the boy's ankle. Naruto cursed as he was swung into a thick branch, only to be pulled back towards the man who had a kunai poised to kill him. Orochimaru smirked as he plunged the kunai into Naruto's heart to the screams of his teammates. I had hoped he might be able to escape, he was proving to be quite interesting. Oh well, now to do what I came here for. Letting the lifeless body fall to the ground below, the pale man turned to where he had left Sasuke. The boy was attempting to stand so that he could avenge his fallen comrade, but Orochimaru had other plans. Forming the seal for his Juinjutsu, his neck elongated to impossible lengths and moved to bite Sasuke at the base of his neck. Sweden. Water-splitting wave. A pressurized stream of water cut through one of the trees and moved to sever the elongated neck of the Sannin. Living up to his reputation, Orochimaru managed to replace himself with a log at the last second. The log didn't stand a chance as the water sliced clean through it. Naruto appeared in front of Sasuke, to the relief of his teammates and mild shock of Orochimaru. Looking over where he thought he had dropped Naruto's body, Orochimaru found nothing but a puddle of water. So you managed to replace yourself with a water clone, despite being thrown around like a rag doll and with no available water source nearby. I must admit, Naruto-kun, I am impressed. Naruto frowned as he stared at the Sannin. Thanks, it's not every day one receives a compliment from one of the Sannin, Orochimaru. Sasuke and Sakura, who had moved back to her teammates, looked at Naruto in shock before turning their eyes to the chuckling person across from them. You are well informed, Naruto-kun, said the man as he reached up and pulled off the rest of his face, revealing the pale visage of the snake Sannin. I am indeed Orochimaru, one of the legendary three ninja. Why are you here? What do you have to gain by attacking us? Kukuku, what I want is quite simple, said the rogue ninja. Team 7's eyes all widened when the Orochimaru in front of them turned into a pile of mud. Naruto spun around when he heard Sasuke scream in pain, just in time to see Orochimaru's neck retract after biting into Sasuke's neck. Sasuke collapsed in pain as Sakura tried what she could to heal the wound on his neck and ease the pain. There, now Sasuke will seek me out for power. But before that, I wish you well in these exams. Watching how you three fare will be most entertaining for me. Pulling out the earth scroll that Team 7 needed to pass the exam, Orochimaru threw it to Naruto, who caught it. Consider that a token of my appreciation. Oh, and when he awakens, tell Sasuke-kun that I will be waiting for him. Naruto cursed as the man disappeared into the branch the same way he had arrived. Looking down at his fallen teammate, Naruto sighed and pocketed the scroll before picking Sasuke up and putting him over his shoulder. Come on, Sakura, we're too vulnerable out here in the open. Let's find a place to set up camp and take a closer look at what that bastard did to Sasuke. Sakura nodded and the two conscious genin jumped away to find shelter. Night had fallen over Training Ground 44 as the competitors of the Chunin exams continued to wage battle against one another. Naruto was sitting against a thick tree root as Sakura was doing a field check on Sasuke. He had the earth scroll Orochimaru had given them clutched in his right hand as he tried to figure out the rogue ninja's motives. What the hell could he be planning? If the reason he attacked us was so that he could place that mark on Sasuke, then why not just kill Sakura and I to make it easier for him? Not to mention, he glanced at the scroll in his hand. Why would he seemingly help us to pass this exam? Nothing makes sense. He was brought out of his confusing thoughts by Sakura shaking his shoulder. Hey Sakura, how's Sasuke doing? Sakura frowned as she sat next to him. Over the week they had trained together, she had learned a lot more about her blonde teammate, one of which he was always aware of his surroundings, not letting his guard down that often. For him to be so lost in thought that he didn't sense her next to him meant that something was really wrong. He's fine, he is still in a little pain, but it's passing quickly. He's running a slight fever, but it's nothing life-threatening. Her frown deepened when she saw him nod almost absent-mindedly. Something is really wrong. Naruto, what's wrong? We're teammates, you know you can tell me anything, she said, trying to coax him into talking and getting whatever was bugging him off his mind. Naruto sighed, his gaze once more turning to the scroll in his hand. It's just, I don't understand what his motive for attacking us could have been. It's obvious he wanted to place that mark on Sasuke, but then why didn't he simply kill the two of us and do it right from the start? It's not like he didn't have the power or skill to do so. Sakura placed her hand over the one he held the scroll with, encouraging him to continue. She could tell there was something more than what he was letting on. She knew that Orochimaru was part of the reason he was like this, as she had been having similar thoughts, but there was something else that was bothering him. Naruto, she began, leaning forward so she could look at him directly, I know that you're bothered by what happened, I am too, but I can tell there's more to it than that. So please, tell me what's really bothering you. Looking into her emerald eyes, Naruto couldn't help the small smirk that spread across his lips. No matter how he tried, Sakura always seemed to be able to read them like a book when she wanted to. Looking away from her, Naruto absently scanned the tree tops around them for any signs of enemies. It's just, I feel like I should be better than this. I let you and Sasuke down because of my inability to protect you guys when it mattered. I feel like there is something wrong with me, that I'm not as good as I should be. When I was being trained by my godfather, I was always able to respond and adapt to whatever situation he threw at me, but now, I feel like there is something preventing me from using my skills to their truest extent, but I just can't seem to figure out what it is. Sakura felt her heart clench at seeing her teammates so torn up over this. She had seen him fight against Kakashi and Sasuke multiple times in spars and he always held his own and more often than not won against their teammate. Though they were completely outmatched, she didn't see anything wrong with him during their fight with Orochimaru. In fact, he had fared better than either her or Sasuke for that matter, but despite that, he still felt like he hadn't done enough. Naruto, she whispered as she watched him stare off into nowhere, I don't understand why you're acting like this, you handled yourself better than all of us against Orochimaru, but you are my teammate and I'll do my best to try and help you through it however I can. Not really thinking about it, Sakura leaned up and gave him a light kiss on his whiskered cheek. Finally, it seemed that the adrenaline she had been running on had run its course, as Sakura closed her eyes and laid her head on Naruto's shoulder. Sasuke should be fine for now, wake me up if anything changes, she mumbled before finally succumbing to the blissful grip of sleep. Naruto looked at the sleeping form of Sakura and felt a smile form on his face. Her words repeated themselves over and over in his mind as he wrapped his arm around her shoulders. Teammates, he thought wistfully, that's what you always tried to teach me. Jiraiya-sensei, but I never truly took your teachings to heart. But now, he looked back down at the young girl sleeping against him and over to the prone form of Sasuke, I finally understand what you were trying to tell me. If I truly wish to be strong, I must be willing to put my life on the line in order to protect those that are precious to me. Hey, looks like I finally caught up to you, Haku. I understand what you meant now, and I swear that I will do everything in my power to live up to your legacy. I will protect my precious people, no matter the cost. His mind finally clear, Naruto drifted off into a light sleep, his smile never leaving. In the shadows of a large tree overlooking the clearing Team 7 was resting in, 3 people were watching them, waiting for their time to strike. So we finally found him, said the bandaged leader of the group. He was hunched over slightly with a fur pelt covering his back. His sleeves were extremely long, covering his hands and concealing the device he wore. As Orochimaru-sama commanded, we attack at daybreak. Our target is Sasuke Uchiha. But if the other 2 get in our way we can kill them, right? asked his teammate. He wore a beige shirt that had the kanji for death printed on the front 3 times. He also had a snake patterned scarf around his neck, a trait he shared with both of his teammates. Of course, replied the bandaged genin as they retreated into the shadows to await the rising of the sun. With Team Guy, the sun will be rising soon, said Neji Hyuga as he sat with his team at the base of a large tree. Most of the teams will be resting now, so we'll attack as planned. We'll split up and scout the area. Even if we don't find another team, we meet back here in exactly 30 minutes, understand? He asked, throwing a kunai into the ground in between the 3 genin. Got it, said Tenten with a smile. Roger, said Lee with an over-the-top salute. All right then, go. The 3 genin leapt away into the foliage around them, searching for potential targets. Sunrise second day of exam. The first rays of sunlight flittered into the grove Team 7 was resting in, hitting the face of Sakura and waking her up. Groaning slightly as she sat up, the Pinkett couldn't help the small smile when she saw both of her teammates resting peacefully. Naruto was leaning against the root he had claimed ever since they arrived at the grove, while Sasuke seemed to have finally settled down during the night. Her smile disappeared however when she heard a rustling in the bushes across from the grove. Pulling a kunai to defend with, Sakura waited for the person to reveal themselves. She left out a breath when a squirrel came out of the bushes and scampered towards the grove. No, she threw her kunai just in front of the squirrel, scaring the small animal away. That was a close one. She's observant, said Zaku as he and his team stood on the tree overlooking the clearing. She managed to notice the paper bomb on the squirrel. No, that's not it, mumbled Dosu as he surveyed the clearing with his lone eye. What do you mean, Dosu? Asked Zaku. We'll probably find out when we get closer, the mummy man mused, so, let's go. The 3 leapt from their position in the tree and landed on the opposite side of the clearing, causing Sakura's head to snap towards them. Well, you seem to be somewhat awake. No matter. Wake Sasuke Uchiha, we want to fight him. So they finally show themselves, thought Naruto, not showing any signs that he was awake. A lot of people seem to be after Sasuke, that can't be a coincidence. These guys are probably connected to Orochimaru in some way, but they are nowhere near as strong as I expected them to be. Sakura, how will you handle this situation? He thought as he focused his senses so that he could feel everything within the clearing. With Lee leapt across the branches at high speed, his eyes darting around for the slightest sign of any other teams. He stopped on a branch when he saw a small flurry of leaves falling to the ground. If I can catch all 20 of these leaves before they reach the ground, I will one day find love. But should I fail, I will forever remain single. A strange fire appeared in the green-clad genin's eyes as he launched himself towards the ground, his hands a blur as he grabbed the leaves out of the air. As he was reaching for the last leaf, he noticed a squirrel squirming on the ground trying to get the lit paper bomb off its back. Faster than many could see, Lee picked up the squirrel and crumpled the bomb in his fist, extinguishing it. Phew, made it in time, he sighed as he sat up and threw the useless bomb away. Who would do something so horrible as to put something like this on an innocent creature like you? As if it could understand him, the squirrel turned towards the direction it had come and began squeaking loudly. So there that way. Show me the way, my little friend, they should pay for doing something so unyouthful. With Team 7 and Odo team, Sakura was thinking along the same lines as Naruto and decided to try and get some answers from them. I know Orochimaru is behind this, so tell me what is his reason for being in our village. The 3 Odo genin's face registered shock at the question, but it was quickly replaced by ones of confusion. I wonder what Orochimaru-sama is thinking, mumbled Dosu aloud as his single eye narrowed in suspicion. It doesn't matter, but seeing as you know so much, we can't let you go alive. You two hang back, I'll kill this girl, and then I'll kill her 2 pathetic teammates. Wait, Zaku, said Dosu as he walked forward to where Sakura's kunai was sticking out of the ground. You aren't very good at this, are you? Recently overturned stones, different colors of dirt and grass where it doesn't normally grow. Booby traps are only effective if they go unnoticed. Too bad you won't be alive long enough to use that knowledge. Dosu and his teammates jumped high above the clearing, planning on coming at Sakura from above to finish her off. Sakura smirked as she cut a wire next to her and a giant log swung down towards the airborne genin. Another trap above. As if we would fall for such a basic ploy, said Dosu as he placed his uncovered right hand on the log while forming a half-ram seal with his left. The log was blasted in half by the sound waves emanating from his gauntlet, but it served its purpose for Sakura as two clones appeared above the three. What? Doden. Earth-style wall, the two clones' cheeks swelled before they expelled a stream of mud, forming a circle around the opposing genin. The mud rose and solidified into a wall of earth, trapping the Odo ninja inside it. The two clones landed on top of the wall and began going through hand seals again, but Dosu wasn't going to give them the chance to finish. Placing his right hand on the wall, he once more used the sound vibrations of his gauntlet to shatter the earth, while Kin and Zaku dispatched the clones with kunai. His attacks must utilize some kind of vibrations. That's the only way he could have destroyed that log in my wall. Sakura's thoughts were halted as the three once again launched themselves towards her, ready to end it. Before any of them had a chance to react, a green blur appeared and kicked the three foreign genin away with a powerful spin kick. Wait, isn't that? Who are you? Asked Dosu as he stood up and looked at the strange newcomer. I am the beautiful green beast of Konoha, Rock Lee, he said as he took the opening stance for his Goken Taijutsu. This time it was Sakura who asked the question, why are you here? She was slightly relieved at the boy's arrival, but still, it seemed a little too perfect for her liking. I was following a little friend of mine when I saw your fight. Though we may be competitors in this exam, we are still both Konoha ninja. I will not allow one of my comrades to fight alone, especially not one as beautiful as you. Lee said with a small blush as he looked back at Sakura. Thanks for the compliment, but I believe we have more pressing matters to deal with, said Sakura as she drew another kunai and got into a stance in front of her teammates. Yosh, then let us end this, said Lee as he turned back to the Odo genin, a fierce determination in his eyes. He seems to be quite advanced in taijutsu. It will be interesting to see how he deals with my attack, thought Dosu as he uncovered his right arm and ran towards the two Konoha genin. Sakura reacted instantly and threw her kunai, which Dosu jumped over. Rearing his arm back, the bandaged Odo nin prepared his attack, but before he could, Lee punched his arm straight into the ground and pulled up a massive tree root with his bare hands. That's some impressive strength he has there, thought Naruto, still keeping up his facade of being asleep. I definitely look forward to testing my skills against his in the future. However, he and Sakura are still at a disadvantage. It seems these Odo guys use sound-based techniques. Not something that is easily defended against. I just might have to intervene if things get out of hand. Especially if those three don't try and help. Unknown to everyone but Naruto, Team 10 had arrived just as the Odo team began their attack, and to say they were surprised would be an understatement. Since when has Sakura of all people been so good? Questioned Shikamaru as he and Choji watched the fight with wide eyes. Ino didn't hear her teammate's question as she was currently lost in thought, memories of her past with Sakura surfacing, as well as what Sakura had said to her before the first exam. Is this what she meant by wanting to protect those she cares for? Sakura, have I truly fallen so far behind you? Guy-sensei, please forgive me, but I must use that technique, thought Lee as he unraveled the bandages around his arms. Sakura-san has not fully recovered from her sleep. I will have to handle the brunt of the fighting. I don't know what you're planning, but it won't work, said Dosu as he raised his gauntlet to strike once again. Lee crouched down as the Odo nin moved to strike him, but before he had a chance, Lee vanished in an intense burst of speed. He vanished. Lee appeared beneath the bandaged genin and sent him flying with a powerful upward thrust kick. Dosu could do nothing as his limp body flew higher into the air, but sadly, the green-clad genin wasn't finished with him. Appearing underneath the genin, the bandages of Lee's arms wrapped around him, preventing Dosu from countering. Grabbing a hold of his now trapped opponent, the two began to spin at high speed as they fell to the ground head first. Take this, front lotus. Not good, Dosu can't defend himself like that, said Zaku as he flashed through hand seals. Burying both of his hands underground, the spiky-haired genin released a wave of pressurized air that softened the earth where the two would land. Lee jumped away from his victim just before he impacted with the ground, watching as Dosu crashed into the now softened dirt. His eyes, along with Sakura's and Team 10's, widened when Dosu shakily stood up from the attack. Looks like I made it in time, smirked Zaku as he pulled his hands out of the ground. What a terrifying technique, said Dosu as he shook his head, to cause this amount of damage to my body even though I landed on this soft dirt. But it seems that it also took its toll on you as well, so now it's my turn. Damn, my body hasn't fully recovered yet, thought Lee as he forced both of his arms up to block the incoming strike. It wasn't necessary, however, as a wall of earth rose up, absorbing the impact of the blow as well as the vibrations. What? Who did? Sorry for taking so long, Lee-san, but I'm finally back to full strength, said Sakura as she stood up from her crouched position. I can tell that technique has a drawback to its use, so now it's your turn to rest while I'll fight. Bold words for a weak little girl, said Zaku with a cruel smirk. It won't take us long to finish you off, but I think we'll torture you a little bit. Now, Kin. Sakura's eyes widened as Kin appeared behind her and grabbed onto her hair, holding her in place. My, your hair has so much more luster than mine. You may have a few impressive techniques, but you're still a pathetic excuse for a kunoichi. The Oto kunoichi tightened her grip on Sakura's hair, forcing her to her knees. Zaku, kill this bitch's teammates in front of her. Let her see just how pathetic she really is. Zaku chuckled as he walked towards the still sleeping Sasuke while Naruto prepared to make his move. Just as he was about to respond, Naruto felt a shift in Sakura's chakra and stayed his hand. It's time that Sakura